Now suppose that f of x equals 4x minus 1 and g of x equals negative 2x plus 5. Now this says solve f of x equals 0. So all I'm going to do is f of x is 4x minus 1. So I'm just going to put that in place of this f of x here. So I get 4 of x minus 1 equals 0. And then all I do here is solve for x. So I add 1. So I get 4x equals 1. And then I divide by 4. So my answer is x equals 1/4. Done. So that's how nice these are. I just sub it in for it. So now then for the number b here, this says f of x is greater than 0. So all I have to do is take that 4x minus 1. I mean, just like I did for the previous one, how I had it equal to 0. This is going to be 4x minus 1 is greater than 0. That's just there. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is add 1. So I get 4x is greater than, let me fix my x there. 4x is greater than 1, because I subtract, so I added 1 to both sides. And then I divide by 4 again. So x is greater than 1/4. So there's my answer for that one. Now for this one though, they might want it in interval notation, and that's what I would actually do for this one. So now that I think back on it, I think you should write it this way. So my x is greater than 1/4, and it doesn't include the 1/4, so I'm going to use a parenthesis. So I would say 1/4 to infinity, because I have no limitations on that interval. So that's what I would say the answer would be. It's not enough to just have x greater than 1/4. You should write out what the interval is when we're dealing with inequalities. So now the next one says solve f of x equals g of x. And again, all I do is just plug those in. No difference. So what I mean by that is f of x is just, excuse me, 4 of x minus 1, and I got an equal sign there, and my g of x is negative 2x plus 5. And all I'm going to do now is solve for x. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides and add 1 to both sides. Now again, I'm doing 2 steps at once, so be careful. All right, so that's going to be 6x on the left, and those 0 out. And those 0 out on the right side. So that's going to equal 6. 6x equals 6. Then I divide by 6, so x equals 1. There's my answer. And that one I can just circle. There's no interval notation or anything there, because that's an equal sign, so it's an equation. Now we're back to inequalities with number d here. So now d says f of x is less than or equal to g of x. So f of x, again, is that 4x minus 1, and it's less than or equal to, and my g of x is negative 2x plus 5. And then all I'm going to do is solve this inequality. So add 2x to both sides. And I'm going to just do the 2 steps at once, and then add 1, add 1. So then I'm going to get 6x is less than or equal to 6. And then I divide by 6, so x equals less than or equal to 1, because I divided by 6. So then my answer for this is going to be negative infinity, because it's less than. And then it's going to go to the 1, but it includes it this time, so it's going to be this one. So negative infinity to 1, including 1, bracket. Okay, for the last one here, number E, it says graph y equals fx and g and y equals gx, and label the point that represents the solution to the equation f of x equals g of x. So we know what that is now. That's where my x equals 1. And we don't have our y value, but we didn't need it here because we're solving for that one. But for this one, we're going to have to write the ordered pair down. So we're just going to graph these. And these, I can just, they're in slope-intercept form. It'll make it easy to graph. So I know that my slope is 4 and my y-intercept is negative 1. So first things first here. Oops. So that's going to be 0, -1. So it's going to be there. That's my first point. And from that, I do rise over run. So I can think of this with a 1 underneath it, because that's my slope. So it's going to be up 4 and to the right 1. So from that, I go up 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to the right 1. So that puts me right there. So I'm going to do a few more points here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And this will help me to draw a nice straight line. Straighter line, I should say. And then down the other way if I can. So 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1. Alright, so there we are. Now we're just going to connect the dots. So there's my line. Now I'm going to do it again for the other one. That looks a little off there. I'll try and fix it. Alright, so now let's graph the other line there. So the other line's green, so I'll use my green here. So we need our y-intercept first. And that y-intercept is going to be plus 5. So 0, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be there. Alright, so now what we're going to do there is we're going to go down. Oops. So we're going to go down 2. So it'll be down 2 this way. And then to the right 2. No, to the right 1. Yeah, so down 2 and to the right 1. So this here is my point. That's the same place as the other. And then I'm just going to continue to draw these points. And the answer for this one then would be, it says graph y equals fx and y equals gx, and label the point that it represents the solution to the equation f of x equals g of x. So that would be this point here. That would be 1, 3. It would be here. The solution means where they're equal, and that's what that means there. Where is f and g equal? It's right there. So that's my answer for this one, 1, 3. But all of this is crucial for the problem itself.